Shubhashish, Bose, the chief guest of the program, and the Secretary, Ministry of Commerce, Bangladesh, and Mr. Chandra, Ghimire, the Secretary, Ministry of Commerce, Government of Nepal, Mr. Bhakta, Sharma, the President, Confederation of Nepalese Industry, CNI, and all of the distinguished participants who are here today for the roundtable session on Nepal-Bangladesh relation, exploring trade and commerce. Let me thank, first of all, Her Excellency Mashfee, Binte for accepting my request to host this program today jointly. So we are very much honored to host this program with the very special guest from Bangladesh and Nepal. And yesterday and day before yesterday, we had a fourth level commerce secretary level meetings in Kathmandu. And I think in the commerce secretary level meetings, there was a discussion about the duty-free and the preference for the market access to Bangladesh and the Bangladeshi in Nepal. And also there was a discussion about the bus service between Nepal and Bangladesh directly, also the truck services. Also there were discussion about the trilateral transit agreement. Similarly, the new air route between Bhadrapur, Jhapa and Shahidpur, Bangladesh, and also on the cooperation for the hydropower projects. I think these are the issues which discussed basically in the commerce secretary level meetings. I think both secretaries will be going to deliver their remarks, and I think we are hoping some kind of connectivity would happen in between Nepal and Bangladesh. Recently in February we hosted the second Nepal-Bangladesh Business Forum. That was a very excellent forum. We started the first forum in 2016. So we have been following the developments between Nepal and Bangladesh very closely, and we have been trying to support the both governments as a research organization. And this is the another session which we are going to hold today. And we are very much happy to have the private sectors and the governments together with us. Let me welcome you again, and thank you so much for joining the program. And we'll be listening more from our secretaries and the CLI president. Thank you. And we'll have also the interaction session for 15 minutes, and I would request to ask very general questions to our guest. Thank you.
Our chief guest, Mr. Shubhashish Bose, the Commerce Secretary of Government of Bangladesh.
Of AIDIA. Madam Mashfee Binte Shams, our distinguished ambassador to Nepal. Mr. Chandra Ghimire, Honorable Secretary for Commerce and Supplies of the Government of Nepal, and Mr. Sharma, who is representing the associations, and the distinguished participants and members of the media present here today. It's my privilege to be here amongst you to say a few words on the occasion of the Commerce Secretary level meeting that was actually held day before yesterday in Nepal. And it's very much known to you that this meeting actually takes place every year, alternatively in Dhaka and Kathmandu. We had the last meeting in Dhaka, but in 2017 we could not hold this meeting, but this year we are holding this meeting. And I believe that a lot of issues were discussed in the meeting. Issues were raised by both the sides. Nepali side raised issues relating to duty-free, quota-free access, transit, etc. And Bangladesh side also raised some of the issues with regard to providing concessional duty to a number of products to Bangladesh. Although these issues were discussed, I believe that both Nepal and Bangladesh, they are members of the LDC, and we have to work very hard to graduate to developing economies in the very near future for the overall development of the nations. and also for the welfare of the people of both the countries. We are members of many international fora and bloc, and we believe that cooperation in the areas of trade should be there, because no nation in the world is independent in terms of economic prosperity. And that's why the concept of international trade is there. The concept of globalization is also there. We are living in a globalized village nowadays. It means that the global market has to be explored by all the countries of the world. And there is a question of interdependence on various nations. The concept of comparative advantage in economics is also to be followed. We have got resources, we have got innovation, we have got intelligence, etc., etc. So we have to capitalize the resources we have. We can offer the resources to other nations of the world. If you look at the developed economies of the world, it means that in the primitive stage, there were agrarian economies. Later on, they became industrialized. And afterward, they became knowledge-based economy. So they are selling knowledges, innovations, patents, copyrights, etc. to countries like ours. So that's the evolution of trade in the world. The WTO is there regulating the trade because it has to discipline the trade, otherwise trade will not be beneficial for all the nations of the people. It's a multilateral organization, consensus-based organization, looking after the welfare of all the nations of the world. Motto of WTO is to ensure welfare for all the people of the world, for inclusive welfare. And it says that everybody has to be on board, nobody should be left behind. So that's the principle. And we are also working towards that direction. That means we like to ensure the welfare of our people as well as the people of the region. So that's why we have got an agreement which is called SAFTA. There are 8 members of the SAFTA, and there are so many conditions for doing trade. The developing members are providing us more facilities, that means to the least developed countries, and we are availing of the opportunities. In order to harness the potential to the fullest extent, I believe that the connectivity has to be established. Transit facilities should be there. Investment should be attracted from one country to another country. And that's why we need to have uniform system of standardization. If the people of these countries are to be utilized, which we call demographic dividend, they need to be trained in a proper way, in an effective manner, so that they can provide service to the region as well as to the global community. Integration, which is followed by Bangladesh, is that we are integrating our economy into the regional economy and also in the world economy. Otherwise, we cannot prosper. That's why we have formulated some principles to attract direct investment from other countries of the world. Because with the rise in standard of living of the developed economies, they are not competitive in many areas. You have seen the sunset industries in the developed world. You have seen the greenfield companies in the world which cannot be operational. So that's why they are relocating to countries like ours, because we have got competitive advantages, competitive edges in terms of population, in terms of overheat. If you look at Bangladesh, the wages is $68 to $70 per worker per month. But if you go to Thailand, the wages is $300 at least. So that's why the cost of doing business in Thailand is much higher than that in Bangladesh. So Japanese companies which are now operating in Thailand, they are thinking of a policy which is called Thailand Plus One policy. Under that policy, they will be moving their industries to a country like ours, where there will be competitive edges. There are 7,000 Japanese companies working in Thailand. Since the cost of production in Thailand has gone up, they are trying to relocate some of the factories or trying to establish some of the intermediate factories in other countries so that they can manufacture accessories or parts, etc. in the third country and bring back those to Thailand for the finished product. So that way they can become competitive. In China, you will see the cost of production has gone up. Earlier, China captured the market share of ready-made garments at 39%. Nowadays, it has come down to 36%. The vacuum has been filled by Bangladesh, Vietnam, and Cambodia. It is because of the higher cost of production. And I believe that we have to harness the potential. We have to know which countries are moving from one sector to another sector. Once upon a time, Taiwan had so many companies manufacturing shoes, gas, etc., or leather products, and they supplied most of the products to the global market. They captured the largest market shares. Nowadays, they are trying to move to other countries. 3 of the companies have come to Bangladesh. One is Stella, another is Pouchan, another is Bose. They are trying to join the Bangladeshi companies. So what would be the benefit of those companies joining the companies in Bangladesh? The benefit would be the cost of production will be competitive, and they can add their marketing skills, technology to the Bangladeshi companies so that larger market shares would be captured. So that way, each and every company is trying to capture the global market shares. In Bangladesh, we have got a vision which is called Vision 2020. The Honorable Prime Minister of the country has set the vision, meaning that Bangladesh would become by the year 2021 and it would become a fully digitalized economy. And we have got another vision which is called 2041. By that year, we will be able to become a developed economy in the world. At this point, Bangladesh is the 42nd largest economy in the world and 30th largest economy in terms of PPP. By the year 2030, Bangladesh will become the 28th largest economy in the world. And by the year 2050, Bangladesh will become the 23rd largest economy in the world. The progress, especially the growth of GDP, which we achieved during the last 3 years, is very impressive. This year, we expect to achieve the GDP growth at 7.65%. But it is also estimated that actual GDP growth will be much higher. It will be 7.7 or 7.75 between the two figures. Last year we had GDP growth of 7.28%, and the year before it was 7.11%. So we can safely say that we had a robust GDP growth for the last 3 years. Up to April this year, the growth of export has been registered at 6.41%. And we expect that the total export income of the country would reach 41 billion US dollar. 37.5 billion US dollar from commodities and 4.5, I think 3.5 from services. So that is the target. And you will also agree that Bangladesh attained the Millennium Development Goals in such a way that it was appreciated by the international community. And after that, we have got SDGs to achieve, and we believe that we will be able to attain the SDG goals in the same efficient manner. We have got the 7th five-year plan of the country, in which we have set the targets. If the targets in the 7th five-year plan can be met properly, then 80 to 82% of the SDGs would be achieved. That is also very much possible by Bangladesh. And also, we have been able to graduate to a developing economy in the first assessment, which was made in March this year. And we met all the 3 criteria to qualify ourselves for becoming a developing economy. The next assessment will be made in 21, and in 2024 we will be able to graduate finally to a developing economy. The government of Bangladesh has got a target of achieving export income of the country. By the year 2021, we have to achieve an export target of 60 billion US dollars. And 50 billion US dollars should come from the garment sector, ready-made garment sector. But other sectors cannot be ignored. The second important sector in Bangladesh is the leather product sector. And the target is to achieve 5 billion US dollar by the year 2021. There are a lot of changes in the leather sector of Bangladesh. We have got leather as raw materials. We used to export wet blue leather in the past to other countries of the world. But afterwards, we banned exportation of wet blue leather to the rest of the world. It is because of the reason that we wanted the raw materials to stay in the country for leather products. So, what changes we have found in that sector? Nowadays, we are not only producing leather products according to the specifications given by the international buyers. Rather, we are offering designs to the international buyers. Generally, what happens in a country like ours, we are given orders, we are given copies, we are given samples in order to produce a particular product. But the leather sector in Bangladesh is now able to offer a number of designs to the international buyers. So the international buyers can choose one of the designs and we can produce the final product according to the designs given by them or chosen by them. That's what is happening in Bangladesh nowadays. But as an LDC, we have got a lot of restrictions on our business. We have to comply with so many conditions imposed by the international buyers. There are representatives of the international buyers, international brands like H&M, Walmart, Marks and Spencer. All these brands have their buyers in Bangladesh who are looking after the interest of the buyers. They are dictating the terms and conditions for production. They are imposing such conditions that the companies cannot stay or the factories cannot stay in a shared building. They have to have an independent building. They have to have fire exits. They have to have fire extinguishing equipments. They have to have capital machineries of sophisticated nature. And they have to have proper environment according to their needs. They are inspecting the factories. After inspection, they are issuing a certificate that this company is qualified to manufacture products for a particular brand. That is what is happening in the garment sector of Bangladesh. Now, we are complying with the conditions imposed by the international buyers. We are converting the companies into green ones. There are a lot of companies in Bangladesh which have been converted into green and which are also certified by the US Green Building Council. Out of the 10 top green companies in the world, 7 are located in Bangladesh. And 289 companies are in the process of registration from the US Green Building Council. If a company wants to convert it into green one, it has to invest a lot. One company in Bangladesh, I am not going to mention the name, it actually invested 14 billion taka for converting it into green. So, a lot of investment is actually needed for complying with the conditions imposed by the international buyers. This system is not available in other countries of the world because the international buyers, they are imposing similar conditions in China or in Cambodia. And they are not looking at the prices, fair prices. There is also a demand of the garment sector of Bangladesh that the international buyers have to look at the fair prices. Why I am saying all this is that the prevailing conditions of business has to be exposed to others so that they can take steps accordingly. And collaboration has to be made in order to stay competitive. We have got a few products in the export basket. We do not have a good number of products. Only 6 products in the export basket constitute 93% of the total export income of the country. And you also know that Bangladesh is basically an agrarian economy. 78% contribution to the GDP came from agricultural sector, even after independence of Bangladesh. But the contribution from this sector is getting low every year. The present contribution of the agricultural sector to the GDP is 14.7% only. And industrial sector contributes to the extent of 29% to the GDP. Service sector contributes 56.3% to the GDP at this moment. So what should we do? We have to develop the resources in the country, that is the human resources. Otherwise we cannot provide services. And there are so many restrictions on the movement of the people from one country to another country, which is called Mode 4 under the WTO, movement of the natural persons. If somebody has to move to other countries, definitely he or she needs to have necessary expertise. That is the expertise which is demanded in that particular country. Her degree should be recognized by that country. Work permit has to be issued to him or her, and he or she has to be given visa. These are the problems. But if we look at Mode 1, it means that we can provide the service through internet, through email, through telephone, etc. So that service is actually very limited. We can do that without any restriction. And Mode 2 means people can move to another country in order to receive treatment. Say for example. So it is not also very restrictive in nature. Mode 3 also means that there should be presence of establishments in a particular country from another country. Bangladesh is open to hotels, 5-star hotels, banking services, insurance services, etc. Establishments could be made in Bangladesh from other countries. Standard Chartered Bank is there in Bangladesh. American insurance companies there in Bangladesh. We have got 5-star hotels with equity from other countries. So that kind of establishment is there, present in Bangladesh. And the problem lies with Mode 4, that is the movement of the people. We cannot export the services of our people to other countries of the world. It is because of some restrictions and recognition of certificates. Our certificates have to be recognized. So what we understand is that if we have unified system or uniform system of standard in education, in human resource skills, then we can provide services to countries in the region. That is possible. And in order to move the products, especially food products, etc., we have to have phytosanitary certificates or sanitary certificates, etc. And the institutes have to be recognized by each other. We have also talked in the Commerce Secretary level meeting how to standardize that system. There should be conformity assessment. We have got some institutes like BSDI, DAE, Directorate of Agricultural Extension, Bangladesh Standard Testing Institution, some other testing labs under the Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries, etc., which issues quality assurance certificates. And if these are affiliated to other countries of the world, then we can have the similar types of conformity assessment, similar types of standardization, and we can accept each other's product. In order to reduce the cost of transportation, we need to develop routes, railroads, rail tracks, roads or riverways. If we can do that, definitely we can transport the merchandise from our country to another country. That is also possible. It reduces the costs of transportation and we can become competitive. We can also procure or source the raw materials from other countries, like the silk in Nepal could be exported to Bangladesh, because Bangladesh has got some factories producing silk sarees or silk fabrics, etc. And Nepalese silk would be used there. That is also possible. In Bangladesh, we have got tea gardens. 164 tea gardens are there. Some of them are very traditional, but we cannot meet the demand of the market. It is because of the rise in consumption of tea by the general people. Although our production is 85 million kgs of tea, but still we cannot export it. So tea could be imported from Nepal. That is also possible. So you have to create the space in the Bangladesh market. You have to promote your product in the Bangladesh market. You have to participate in international fairs in Bangladesh, showcasing your product. We need to import essential commodities like garlic, onion, lentils, ginger, etc. So if Nepal is capable enough to export those products to the Bangladesh market, Bangladesh can benefit out of that. And I understand the hospitality services, tourism services that would be developed between Nepal and Bangladesh, because Nepal is very, very famous for providing tourism services to the international tourists. If we look at other countries of the world, France is attracting 75 million tourists per year. Spain is attracting 54 million tourists per year. USA is attracting 42.5 million tourists per year. But how many tourists we are attracting? If there is a package, we can offer the package to the international tourists. International tourists can land in one country and then can move from that country to the other countries of the region. It is easier for them and the cost will also be less. So we have to popularize it. In order to popularize it, we have to have a policy and we have to have collaboration in the field. So we can think of that, and we have also talked to the Honorable Secretary of Commerce of Nepal how to proceed with that. People from our country are going to Singapore, Thailand, India in order to receive treatment. They think that the quality of treatment in those countries is better. People have got affordability nowadays. Income level has increased, so they are willing to receive the treatment in those countries. We have actually talked to the Honorable Minister of Thailand who visited Bangladesh a few days ago, whether we can reach an agreement to have the branch of the Bangkok General Hospital in Dhaka. If the branch of that hospital could be established in Dhaka, it is possible for the people of Bangladesh to receive treatment in that hospital. It will be easy for them to receive the treatment. And the cost of receiving the treatment will also be less compared to that they receive in Bangkok. A lot of students of Bangladesh are going to Canada, UK, Australia, and USA in order to receive, educational qualification. They want to study in universities. If the university campuses could be established in Dhaka, as we find in other countries of the world, the Malaysian campus of Australian universities. People are now going to Malaysia in order to have the Australian education in Kuala Lumpur with a minimal cost. So that kind of services could also be provided in Bangladesh, and we can invite the universities to set up their campuses in our country. We are also trying to develop the human resources in Bangladesh because we have got demographic dividend. In Bangladesh, 73% of the population are at the age of 40 or below the age of 40. So we are a young population. But if we look at the population of China, it's an aging population. So we have to utilize that demographic dividend which is existing in Bangladesh at this moment. And Bangladesh itself is a very huge market, consumer market. 162 million people are there. 2.5 million people are coming to the employment cycle every year. And it is not possible for the government of Bangladesh to provide them jobs. Even the private sector is not capable enough to provide them jobs. So what is the alternative to that? They should be self-employed. How to be self-employed? We have to impart them training. Maybe in the ICT sector, we can develop skills of ICTs for the youths, and they can be self-employed. They could be outsourced by the international companies, multinational companies, etc. There are 10 million people who are working outside of the country in various countries of the world, and they are sending remittances to Bangladesh. The amount of remittance is only 13 billion US dollar, which is not actually a significant figure. It is because of the lack of the skills. Those people are actually providing semi-skilled services or unskilled services. So that's why the remittance is not significant. So government is considering the development of the skills of human resources. We are also trying to train up people in the handicraft sector so that people can manufacture some of the handicraft items and they can showcase their products in the international fairs, etc. Or they can find out some niche market for those products. With that regard, Bangladesh is providing them SME services. That means providing some loans to the small entrepreneurs. But the positive thing is that Bangladeshis have got entrepreneurship. It's very much enviable. And there are some studies going on in various institutes or universities of Japan and other countries, how entrepreneurship developed in Bangladesh. It's a miracle actually. Once upon a time, Bangladesh did not have any industry, but now Bangladesh has so many industries. And pharmaceutical sector is definitely a very remarkable sector in Bangladesh. We have made a lot of progress in that sector. We are exporting pharmaceutical products to 156 countries of the world. With regard to the quality of medicine, we can say that UNICEF is also sourcing our products. Some of the products of our companies have been registered with the Food and Drug Administration of the USA, UK, Germany, etc. So in that way, of course, we can serve the humanity of the world. The medicine which is produced in Bangladesh is very cheap. Now we are trying to attract investment in the API sector, active pharmaceutical ingredient sector. We are inviting investment in that sector so that we can produce the raw materials in order to further reduce the cost of production and to reduce the lead time. What we should have to do now, when we will be losing the benefits as an LDC, we have to stay competitive still then. And that's why we are trying to reach some agreements which would be treated as PTAs, preferential trading arrangements, or free trade agreements. We have chosen some of the countries. We are going to do it with Sri Lanka at this moment. We are also in the process of reaching such agreements with China, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Turkey. And we are also observing the potential of the ASEAN countries. So that is also a success story of the ASEAN nations. So how to reap that benefit? We have also proposed that we should go for a PTA with Nepal so that we can collaborate in a more efficient way. And I believe that the interdependence will increase day by day. The intra-trade among the SAARC nations, it is less than 5% of our export figure. But we understand there is an informal trade among the nations. People would like to have contact with each other's countries, and the institutional contacts, association contacts should be more and more. The Apex Chamber of Commerce of Nepal should have an agreement, should have a memorandum of association, understanding with the Apex Chamber of Commerce of Bangladesh. If they can come closer to each other, definitely business will be much more. We have got an organization which is called Export Promotion Bureau under the Ministry of Commerce that is responsible for promoting trade. The similar organization, that's the counterpart in Nepal, should also have a memorandum of understanding in order to exchange information on the availability of the products, on the availability of prices, international prices, on the information of production, etc. So they can share the information with each other, and that would be disseminated to the business community of both the countries who can avail of that opportunity. I believe Nepal is also a member of the ATPF, Asian Trade Promotion Forum. Bangladesh is also a part of that. And I think 28 countries are there who are members of that forum. And if an agreement is reached or a memorandum of understanding is made between the two organizations, then some facilities could be offered or provided to each other. Like, if the business delegation goes to Bangladesh, they can be given conference facilities free of charge. They can be given opportunities to visit some of the factories in Bangladesh to see the condition of production. And similar facilities could be provided to the business community of Bangladesh who will be visiting Nepal. So these kinds of collaborations could be enhanced. So that's why we have some talks in the Commerce Secretary level. And I believe that in the very near future, in course of time, we will have more and more collaboration. And I believe that the regional hub should be in this part. that is in South Asia. We have got cultural closeness, linguistic closeness. We can treat ourselves as a South Asian. We are Nepalese, we are Bangladeshis, we are Indians, we are Sri Lankans, but still we can say that we are South Asians. It is because of the cultural proximity, linguistic proximity, and historical closeness. That's the way we can actually collaborate each other. And because of the demographic dividend existing in all these countries, and because of the availability of resources, we can dominate the global market. That is also possible for us. We are trying to diversify our products. We are trying to diversify our markets. We have to have less dependence on the European countries or USA, which are actually far from our region. We can depend more on the regional markets. And in the very near future, we will be able to dominate the whole global market. That is possible. And I believe that there are some backward linkage industries, forward linkage industries developing in our countries, also in the region, which can cater to the needs of the main industries. And a country has to depend on backward linkage industries in other countries. China has to depend on backward linkage industries in Bangladesh. India has to depend on backward linkage industries in Bangladesh. So there will be a spillover effect on the economy of Bangladesh. And we can avail of that opportunity. So I would not take much of your time. Finally, I would like to say that collaboration is needed and we are proceeding towards that. I hope that with the easing of transit, that means BBI and MBA, we will be able to transport our products to the countries of the region in a more efficient manner. If there is Kunming-Kolkata highway, we can also access to the southwestern part of China. We can export our products like crab, eelfish, etc. very easily and at a cheaper rate to that part of China. Another point is that we have to have some value addition to the products. We are lacking in skills. For example, we have got a lot of fruits in our country. Tropical fruits are there. But fruits cannot be used beyond the season because we cannot make use of it. If we can add value to that, that means if we can convert them into value-added products, then definitely we can use the products throughout the year. We can conserve them for a longer period of time. For example, we have got mangoes, but we do not have juice plants. We have pineapples, but we cannot can the pineapples for future use. We have got cashew nuts, but cashew nuts could not be roasted. We do not have that capacity. Capacity means that we have to invest in that field. And we have to have the technology. We have got jackfruits in our country. But if we can convert them into chips, then we can utilize it for the whole of the year. We have got potatoes. But if we can convert them into starch, then we can have more foreign currency. We can have value-added products from potato. So these are the lackings we have, and we have to remove all those difficulties. And we have to look at it in such a way so that inclusive welfare will be ensured. So thank you very much for giving me a patient hearing. And I'm really very pleased to be here amongst you.
Coupled with the beautiful thoughts that just before my previous speaker and my very close colleague, Mr. Bose, he presented. It's a big opportunity. It's coming across such beautiful ideas and so many other development back to back. Thank you so much, especially the organizer who afforded all of us presence over here, and at the same time coordinated everything so that we are assembled here and sitting down together and putting our heads together. So for this, I take this opportunity to congratulate and express gratitude to the organization. And at the same time, I don't like to spare my opportunity to express my gratitude to Excellency, the Madame Sanz. Indeed, she was the one who persistently insisted for my presence in this gathering over here. So with these words of gratitude, I would like to throw out or try to shed lights certain things out of my mental box. Indeed, Mr. Bose, what he already spoke, I think there is nothing left to speak about. So almost everything he has well covered. That is the direction, no doubt at all. That is the way, no doubt at all. The only what we need is the action, the real course of action, and we should stick to certain time frames so that we can materialize those all novel ideas into real course of action and can harness the potential advantages or fruits, whatever it is, the term. I would like to start with a few data, though data are not very much friendly often in our discussion. So all because of the nature itself. It's a very dry kind of stuff. But allow me to quote some data. If we look at that data population in Bangladesh and Nepal, Bangladesh has a 163 million population. If we quote from 2016. And Nepal, if we look at, then it comes around 30 million, around that population. So giving this example or citing this data, what I'd like to say here is our market itself is huge. Often what we say, I don't know how do you say in your country, Mr. Bose, in Bangladesh, but in Nepal, often we say we are very small. We are not small. We are not a small country. We are a big country. Recently, I got an opportunity. I attended in a ministerial conference in Tajikistan, and I found over there the country itself at least 6 times larger than ours, area-wise and population-wise. We are just double, more than double. So meaning that the market as such here in Nepal, it's a huge. So no need to explain how big it is market-wise, Bangladesh. That itself is enough. So here what I am trying to say is, now it is on our shoulder how to strategize ourselves and how to devise certain solutions so that we could harness potentials. So far, who is getting the benefit? Somebody else. Who is taking away the benefit? Somebody else. So now, it is we people who have to sit together and check out our future actions so that we can bring those ideas into real action. And then we can harness. Otherwise, the market is a market. If we don't act, then somebody else will act. And will take away the advantage. So that's the fact. So I'm not discouraging everyone here. And that's not what my duty, of course. I fully understand. What I'm trying to do is here, I'm trying to inspire you. Look at the market and both sides. I'm trying to inspire. Look at the market. Look at the size of the market. Now I'm coming to dividend, demographic dividend part. I don't know who has given us or who has granted us this demographic dividend, whether it's God or somebody else. But what is the reality? We have young population, at least 50% in each of the countries. It comes around 65% if I am not very wrong. Please, if wrong, then let me be corrected. It comes around 65% in Bangladesh. I saw somewhere a data. And same case also in Nepal. But we should not forget one thing. We have to bear in mind one thing that is very, very important. That dividend is not forever. That dividend is for certain time being. If I am to quote one data, 37 years is given to Nepal to utilize that dividend, demographic dividend. I don't know how long it is in case of yours, that Mr. Bose, he knows very well. But in our case, it's 37 years, and certain years of that 37 we have already eaten out. So rest time is there ahead. So that is what we have to look at, and we have to strategize ourselves. Why? Because they are the active population who can contribute to our economy. Most active population. But I'm not again discouraging you. Again, there is another round of lights of hope in future. What is that? Suppose we finish that 37 years of demographic dividend, 37 years of demographic dividend. If we do very correctly, precisely, and with the prudence, our actions, words, and deeds, what would be there in future? There would be a huge size of middle class in our society. So that middle class again going to serve our economy if we prudently strategize ourselves. So that is available in Nepal, that is available in Bangladesh. So look at that potential opportunities that is just in front of us. Just click away, that is, not far away. We don't need to go around all over the world. Like these days, youngsters or our generations are going around. Opportunities not here, opportunities are somewhere elsewhere. Such a way. GDP size, if we look at, yes, Bangladesh's progress has been very, very impressive last some years. 7+ you have achieved last year, and this fiscal year too, you are almost close to that, or hitting even above. And same case taking place also in Nepal. And this is a kind of momentous time. Why? Because we had long years of very, very discouraging GDP rates in our past. But the recent years we have started hitting 6+ GDP rate, and that has again filled in another round of hopes and optimism in our society. So that is again another example or silver lining. We should cash it and we should strategize ourselves proper way. This year, recently we have presented our budget, and budget has aimed to gain or to achieve next year at least 8% of growth rate. Sounds ambitious, but we have to be ambitious because we wasted years and years, decades and decades in the past. If we are no more optimistic, if we are no more ambitious, then there won't be future. So that again another thing we have to keep in mind, and accordingly we have to strategize ourselves. Why I am giving these all data and these all ideas? We cannot walk down alone. We cannot get that level of aspiration alone. What do we need after all? We need a partnership. And who can provide that partnership? That is possible with our immediate neighbor. And Bangladesh is there, waiting for that opportunity, waiting for that moment. So that is what, again, another thing we have to keep in mind. Yes, Bangladesh has certain areas where Bangladesh is just flying like anything else. Textile, pharmaceuticals, electronics, automobile, bicycles, leather, jute or jute products, glass, papers, food and beverages, cement, tea, though tea is insufficient for your own consumption, rice, iron and steel, and so on. And similarly, you have been champion in certain sectors, like RNG, ready-made garments, like frozen foods, that is again another area. Jute products, again another area where you are being champion and setting example in the world. And same time, leather products, you are setting one after another different examples in your export domain or export sector. And also agricultural products. And what is happening in our case? Of course, despite all the negativities, we do have certain areas where we are excelling ahead with ambition, a great ambition, let's say. Yarn is one of the sector. We are progressing very well. Same time, cements is another area where we are progressing very well, though we haven't yet started exporting cement to our neighboring countries, but we are doing well in that regard too. And same time, coffee is doing very well. Tea is always our niche market or niche product in our country. Pashmina is also doing well. I feel always very honored when I take the name of Pashmina, because if there is any product in the world, celebrities, world-class celebrities, they also feel themselves as a fan of any product of Nepal, that is Pashmina. That gives us a sense of pride. Something is there. Like Hollywood celebrities and many world leaders, they've been member of fan club of that product, especially Pashmina. Carpets is there. Apart, there are certain other things, agro-based, including cardamom, ginger, vegetable seeds, where we can excel and what we can export to Bangladesh. Pharmaceuticals is another sector where we can excel quickly and easily. And there too, we are aiming Bangladesh market. So what we really need, given this backdrop, we need to make more liberal our border side, where we often encounter with the tariff-related issues, non-tariff related issues, connectivity-related issues, transit-related issues, infrastructure-related issues. So those things are there. So if we pay our greater attention, we could and we should excel ahead. So last 2 days, giving these all examples, what we done and what you did, this question might be biting your head. I can understand your feelings. Yes, we have last 2 days expended our sweats and energies to figure out certain solutions so that from Nepal we could export our own products to Bangladesh. and also Bangladesh to export their own products to Nepal. So such a way, certain agendas were on our table, and we paid our attention to possible extent. There were a number of agendas. Let me cite some of them. We discussed about how we could harness or address the issue of tariff-related issues. So we discussed about the possibility of duty-free market access, preferential market access. Of course, we are at to come to a conclusion, but we have discussed over that possibility. Another agenda was the vehicle regulation agreement. We want, especially Nepal, access to Bangladesh's ports, mainly Mumla and Chittagong. Why? The reason is very clear. Since 1976, Bangladesh has accorded 2 ports and 5 land routes to Nepal. But what is happening? The utilized rate is almost nil. Meaning that we are being unable to take the advantage of those ports, take the advantage of those routes. And where the problem lies? Problem lies certain areas. So to shut them out, we have proposed this time 2-3 LOEs so that we could at earliest shut them out, and our trader fraternity and industry fraternity could harness potential advantages. And by doing that, not only our trader fraternity will take the advantage, also Bangladesh's trader fraternity, they also will take advantage. Their ports, they also will take the advantage. It's not about one-sided the advantage. I mean, one side only will go to the advantage. Both sides, it will go the advantage. Like before, we had only one gateway port, it was Calcutta. Recently, we have added one more, that is Visakhapatnam. And when Visakhapatnam came into operation, now they are competing to each other. Why? Because there is a benefit. So the market has started to work now, and they are trying to offer better and better. Of course, time and again we are confronting with certain problems. Like this time we are facing certain problems as fresh news are coming up from Calcutta. I mean, by giving these all, what my point is, if we pay our extra attention, we could now onward, at possible outlets, harness those ports and those designated routes. Similarly, another area that too we have this time discussed over SPS and TBT related standards, standard setting procedures, mechanisms, so that uninterrupted flow of goods can happen from both sides, to both sides. And also, this time we have discussed over the possibility of forming customs joint groups, so that on the ground what is happening, they also will be able to shut them out from their respective level. It's not what always we could deliver from our level, because we are at the policy level. And customs people, they are more operational level from. So them too, we have aimed to engage in our bilateral affairs so that they could shut out their level of problems. And through that, trade facilitation may happen possible earliest. Similarly, we have discussed over the possibility of opening Rohan-Pursingla route, because that is long pending on our table. Of course, Radhikapur Birol had been there. It's been already designated since long. Rohanpur-Singhbad is another route now we are aiming at. So that part also we have this time discussed over. Simplification for our pharmaceuticals products. Of course, Bangladesh has very thriving industries in this domain. But we too are rising in this domain, in this sector, in this realm. So what we want is, let them stand up, let them have a space so that they also can have their own space in Bangladesh market. Yes, you have your own standards that we fully respect. Yes, you have your own objectives that we fully respect. Same time, we too would like to grow together along with you, work together along with you. So that regard, from our side, we have proposed this agenda. Similarly, tourism promotion. I fully agreed with my colleague, Mr. Bose. Tourism is the area where Nepal is unbeatable in the world. What advantage lies with us, nobody else can have it or snatch it. Our mountain Everest, who can develop it? Our beautiful peaks or majestic peaks, who can copy and paste elsewhere? It's here only and will be here only. So that advantage, comparative advantage, or whatever advantage we call, that is here only. So what we need is, we need to develop a package, and that package we should offer to Bangladesh market. And in doing so, we need certain very practical, down-to-earth kind of solution we need to develop. So that regard too we have jointly discussed and coming to a concrete conclusion. Air connectivity part. Always what my conviction is, more the mobility, more the connectivity, more the prosperity. If no mobility, no connectivity, then no prosperity. So it goes in the same manner, always, back to back, one by one. So this regard to, we have discussed over, there is one possibility linking up our Pradesh one with northern part of Bangladesh. So that possibility we are trying to open up. So this part too we have discussed over this time. And another area that is again our huge potential area, and now we are rising in that area, that is hydropower. And Bangladesh, it is very good to say to you that Bangladesh has a great interest to join their hands with us, not only in export of our power, also in investment in our generation of hydropower. So this regard, we are discussing on a possible MOU. We are very close to that level of development. So I'm quite happy to share this development too. And DIPA was another matter we discussed over to facilitate investments from both sides. Another area is there, and again it has a linkage with the mobility visa related issues, and that is from both sides. So that too we have discussed over. Again, the last point, that's about a trilateral transit arrangement. Mr. Bose, he is very visionary, and the way he presented the future scenario, this part of the globe gonna be a hub of global economic prosperity. Of course, no doubt at all. This is gonna be a global engine for growth, no doubt at all. In this regard, what we really need is, within ourselves, in this sub-region, we have to have, at any cost, uninterrupted flow of mobility to ensure that through all means of transportation, all means of transit, we have to develop a kind of trilateral arrangement that may be through inland waterways, that may be through railways, that may be through roads. So including them all, now from our side we have proposed a trilateral transit arrangement, and this is what exactly we had a couple of weeks back we had proposed to India too, Indian side too, when we had secretary level meeting with India. So that time too we had proposed this idea, and this time we have shared this idea with Bangladesh, because after all, India, Nepal and Bangladesh has to join on this mission. I think given time was 10 minutes. I must have eaten out that time and must have run out that given time. Though there were a lot of things to share over here, but what I strongly believe, there are two more speakers. They are more knowledgeable than me, and wisdom-wise too, they are more superior than me. And audience itself too is very knowledgeable and so well learned. So leaving everything, rest of the things ahead, I'm stopping myself here. And once again, I would like to express my thanks to organizer giving me this opportunity and for affording my presence over here. Thank you once again.
Let me tell you that the peoples-to-people relation between Bangladesh and Nepal is far deeper than people believe here. I'm greatly honored to share that. Thank you for having that type of sentiment towards Nepal and the people of this country. What probably we need to do in future is something which I would like to share in this particular gathering. We are looking forward, Mr. Bose, to see that some of the products which had now been discussed with the government of Nepal are allowed to export. For example, one of that is yarn, polyester yarn, produced in Nepal. Our members are very keen to see that that will be an opportunity for them to export one of the industrially produced goods in Nepal. The agri-products, the tea and ginger and many other agricultural traditional products that we have been exporting to Bangladesh would have a meaningful value if we create the right infrastructure, especially for transport. The government of Nepal and government of Bangladesh should now think about developing overhead highway, where we'll have both the railway and the highway overhead in India, because we have 25 kilometers of Indian land in between Bangladesh and Nepal. Unless we don't take on board Indian good wishes, I don't think it will happen very soon. So at this point of time, Bangladesh and India are having very good relations. Nepal is also having equally good relations. I will not say as good as Bangladesh, but Nepal is also having good relation with India. And we have a very ambitious leadership in all three countries. Very interestingly, we have very stable government in Nepal, very strong government in India. So is the case in Bangladesh. So this is the right time that our governments should think about having that type of infrastructure in place so that we can export, import not only goods and commodities, but also open our doors for people to travel, to meet them, to improve the connectivity for cultural exchanges, for tourism, for sightseeing. There are too many avenues that Bangladesh and Nepal can explore in future. You are very right, the Honorable Secretary, that there is not much we did with the industry in Bangladesh. We look forward to have more opportunities in future where companies from Bangladesh will come to Nepal for investment, for technologies, for exploring the business potentials that both the countries provide to those type of ambitious companies. We need to promote the investment between both the countries. I'm in favor of looking the progress of having power trade agreement with Bangladesh from Nepal, especially through wheeling facility in India. That is very vital for the growth of hydropower sector in Nepal, and also the good quality, clean energy supply to your growth aspirations. Because Bangladesh is, rightly said by the Secretary, is very ambitious in your economic prosperity agenda, and you need energy for that. And Nepal probably would be the reservoir for that particular energy, especially in the form of hydropower, for which Nepal can think about exporting to Bangladesh. There is a lot political issue on this, so I would like to leave it here to the government agencies to facilitate and make sure that this power trade agreement exists between our countries through India. I was very happy to note that Bangladesh wanted to invest in hydropower in Nepal. I don't know how fast is the progress, but I'm sure in coming years, having a very stable government in Nepal and a strong desire of the government of Bangladesh to invest in Nepal, especially in hydropower, would bring result in a very soon future. I'm equally anxious to see that happen very soon. In terms of many other opportunities, I would like to leave it because Nepal had tremendous difficult time for almost 25 years. That is the actual time of my energetic youth I spent in business. And we passed through one of the most difficult times in our life. Nepal had lost a lot of opportunities. I know Nepal is one of the most beautiful places in the world, but that is in the books, that is in the places where people cannot travel. For example, we have some of the most scenic places. People say that this is one of the only kind of place people can see in the world, but you cannot visit because there are no infrastructure. It is very difficult to go there. You have to take very risky ways. Sometimes you have to challenge your own life. So Nepal needs a lot of innovative technologies in developing infrastructure in the area which I just explained, whether it is Mount Everest Base Camp or Annapurna Base Camp, or it is beyond base camps to Manang, to many scenic places in Nepal. We are having acute deficiency of infrastructure in our country. We are looking forward for a meaningful dialogue with the government on how those infrastructures could be developed through PPP model. That is where companies from Bangladesh probably can come to have equal share in investment, because a lot of interest is there from India and China now. So I encourage this message to be passed to the industries in Bangladesh, because that opportunity is there. In terms of tourism excellency, once I have shared this view, we have to develop tourism like this. In 3 hours time, from one of the best world-class beaches in Cox's Bazar to one of the highest mountains in the world in Kathmandu. We need connectivity. We need air travel routes from Cox's Bazar or Dhaka to Kathmandu more often. And then we have to sell this product in the global marketplace. And we have to also synergize and synchronize the visa issuance process for global tourists. For example, if we can issue common visa, for example, a tourist which will have that common visa can travel to Nepal, can also travel to Bangladesh without having further documentation required. So if we think about developing that area, because this is how the countries in Europe are taking advantage. If I go to Latvia today, I probably can go to France, I can go to Italy, I can go to Spain on the single visa. You don't need anything else in terms of the traveling documentation, so people would love to see that. Some of the tropics and some of the most important subtropics that remains in this part of the world. And my final submission to my secretary, the secretary from the government of Nepal, having listened to very inspiring ideas, thoughts, and business processes at Bangladesh, I hope our government will take that positively. Learning is an opportunity for us, whether it is from Bangladesh or from India or from China. Not necessarily we have to learn only from United States, UK or Japan. In our own neighborhood, there is much we can do, much we can learn on how economy could be improved, how industries would be given an opportunity to grow, how government can play a positive role in bringing employment within the country. I know Bangladesh is also very typically a small country in terms of size, but in terms of population, you are one of the most populous countries in the region. So there is a lot we should think about doing in human resource development. Nepal and Bangladesh should really evaluate on how Nepal and Bangladesh can work more closely on improving the quality of human resource in both countries. That is the avenue nobody in the past had explored. Of course, a lot of people go to Bangladesh for higher education, especially in medical science I have not seen much in engineering, but in the past there used to be more number of students going to Bangladesh about 20 years ago for engineering as well. But this time, even today, there must be hundreds of students taking programs in graduate or undergraduate medical sciences in Bangladesh. Thank you for allowing them to go there for their higher educational aspirations. With these words, ladies and gentlemen, there is a lot we need to do in future. Things are moving in the right direction, so we would like to see that whatever understanding Nepal and Bangladesh will do today must be implemented immediately without taking further time. This is what I would like to request from the private sector. Once we do that, we continue to work with companies in Bangladesh, we probably would have meaningful opportunities to improve our trade between both the countries. Nepal is typically a very open importing country. So I would like to pass this message to companies in Bangladesh to come and take the advantage of that open import policy in our country. If companies from India can export, why can't companies from Bangladesh can export to our own market? It is happening in a couple of products, but this can happen to many other areas. Because Bangladesh is improving, your company's capability is going higher, their ambition and aspirations are going higher. So I wish we can take advantage of that changing economic front that is taking place in Bangladesh. Thank you very much, Excellency, for having me here. Thank you very much.
Your Excellencies, both of secretaries have given motivating remarks. What I want to know from Bangladeshi Secretary of Commerce, Mr. Bose, since establishing an operation of the various kinds of industries in Bangladesh, is there any kind of corruption matters prevails in media? If you see in Nepal, there are almost all sectors are not without corruption free. That's why how do you regulate or control or minimize the corruption in establishing as well as giving license to the product industry as well as operational in the during that time? This is the first question. And to our secretary, Mr. Ghimire, you told us that many points we discussed during your 2 days talks with the Bangladeshi counterpart, and when the decision will take place of those discussion points and will be implemented in future. Thank you.
Bangladesh, Nepal, almost same population, but the per capita population is too high, almost 1,300 in Bangladesh. And I can see the growth is too good, more than 7.5% is going continuously. So I'm more worried for this water and energy for Bangladesh, and that's an opportunity for Nepal. So what I can see is that I think Bangladesh needs more clean water, clean river for agriculture, for population, and for the industry, lots of industry. And all these, most of the water is flowing from Nepal to India to, let's say, Bangladesh. So I can say, I think there's already some relation between these two countries. We need to work together, although there is India in between, but we are linked with water in the history, and in future we have to use that one, I can see that. And if the clean energy is not going, with Bangladesh planning to buy about 9,000 megawatt by 2041 from Myanmar, Nepal, Bangladesh, India, I don't think India will have sufficient surplus to supply to Bangladesh in big way.
Before that, we have from the Bangladesh community, from the Nepalese also, who are doing business here, Nepal-Bangladesh business. So we addressed few things with our Honorable Secretary. Now my question is there any action plan you have taken, like by when we can see some result out of that problems we have addressed? Thank you very much.
Yes, it will take time, because some are short-term, some are immediate, some are mid-term, and some are long-term. So we have a certain time frame, so being within that and running along with that, we will get them all implemented. Number 2 question, it's about the money now supposedly coming in for hydro sector. Our competent authority is there, Ministry of Energy. They are rolling down the ball. So let's hope we'll go find everything and will get implemented by stipulated time. This is how we are moving ahead. And that regard, from our side, we have agreed everything, and there is one two formalities that is awaiting for our response. Maybe one day there will be a presence of dignitary from our friendly country Bangladesh, and we'll start the rest of the process. So this is very indicative answer I am giving here to answer that question. And third was about power trade agreement. We are open for different windows. BIPA is there on the table. This matter also can be on the table. So there are several windows. PTA, as Excellency Mr. Bose, he mentioned during his deliberation, preferential trade agreement. In what the way we have agreed is duty-free to be given by Bangladesh to Nepal, and preferential access to be given by Nepal to Bangladesh. So that is what the possibility we are discussing over. So there are, this is just one tip of the iceberg. So there are different windows. Now we are discussing on. So in due course of time, we will come to a concrete conclusion on those all matters. Any action plan to address problems with the lies with the business between Bangladesh and Nepal? So far as I have understood your question, something like that. Yes, of course, without understanding properly, how could we start a negotiation? Before proceeding for a negotiation, we need to go through a series of round of preparation, and that's part of that preparation, preparatory action. So that's there, obviously. So we are, I do not claim fully 100% aware of everything what is happening this side of the border and that side of the border, but we are quite aware what is happening, and keeping those all things in mind, we have developed our agendas and actions, these all things. That's there. So with this, I conclude. But before I conclude, I must express 2-3 things over here, taking this liberty. Diversification is what another area we need to work, as Mr. Bose also pointed out that matter. So far we have been with very much with the certain countries, but now country-wise and product-wise, we need to diversify ourselves so that basket will be better, so that our market will be better. So that is what, in a nutshell, I wanted to tell. And second thing is, this is the era of interdependency. So when we believe in interdependency, then automatically it comes the idea of value chain. So value chain, when it comes, then automatically it comes regional value chain, not only the global value chain. So in that course, Bangladesh and Nepal can work to any extent we could move ahead. So that certain things we do and certain things they do. Or certain things they do and then rest we'll do. So such a way we could take the advantage. So if we understand the whole theory or whole gamut of the matter, such a way we could, in a much better position, certain years down from now. So with this, I conclude here. Thank you so much.
Years ago, there was hardly any dialogue between our countries on this sector. But today we see that not only are we talking to each other, we are actually demanding implementation of decisions, we are demanding action so that there is facilitation of trade and commerce between our two countries. It's an extremely encouraging sign that we are taking interest in each other. And I think these sort of dialogues are essential because they help us to break down the barriers, not only the tariff barriers and the non-tariff barriers, but also the barriers that exist in our minds, which is actually the most important barrier we need to break. So I would like to thank both our distinguished secretaries for taking time off their extremely busy schedules, for holding the Commerce Secretary level talks, for participating in today's roundtable, and also talking to each other, both across the table and off the table, which will greatly benefit our two countries as we move forward for our future prosperity and development. So thank you everybody for coming here, and thank you to AIDIA for once again partnering with the Embassy of Bangladesh and for working together for further enhancing our relationship. Thank you everybody.